Chief Corporate Communications Officer Olufemi Soneye, the NMG's issues for government Union's National Executive meeting in Abuja. The Congress Park workers received their March and April pay. The sign agreement, the federal government on the payment. Earlier today, Mr. C was sent new on May 1st. Moving on, energy expert Innocent Douglas is asking the River State government to visit the gas turbine built by Peter Delay's administration. Mr. Lord Douglas, in an interview with correspondent Obioroware, said this while analyzing the unbundling of power distribution companies discos. He says the federal government's new policy of decentralizing power distribution companies will empower the state government to bring electricity closer to the rural communities.
I advise our governor to look more inward. Governor Dele saw the future and built turbine. This is the time that these turbines will be in use. But I think the governor should go back and renegotiate on every encumbrances that's surrounding that turbine and bring them back. If the turbine in Ahoda is being given out to generate power, the one in Bori and this one in Transamadi, there is nowhere any riversman will say that we don't have light. This Bank A and Bank B that we are talking about will be a thing of the past, because what we need is where you are having power. When you have supply, you control the energy yourself.
Mr. Lord Douglas also said power decentralization allows the state government to heavily invest in the power sector and power distribution companies, concentrating on their core mandate.
It's going to bring immense benefit to the masses, because with this, under the full supervision of the Chief Security Officer of the state. So, as in River State, the government can now look to those areas that have not light, like areas like Abu Odua that have not even had a supply, and then through the rural electrification project that the state has, send powers to those areas. What it means is that the state is at liberty. They are at liberty to give power, generate, transmit, and supply. Who used to be in the exclusive list to take a total ownership.
In other news, as Nigerians seek alternative methods of spraying the Naira at social events, the National Orientation Agency NOA in River State says decent handling of the Naira and other digital means does not constitute abuse. Director of the agency, Young Ayotamano, said this in an interview with correspondent Mekotoka. Mr. Ayotamano, however, says the Naira is a national symbol and that mishandling it, such as spraying, stamping, selling, mutilating, rumpling, among others, is an abuse. He called for respect for the legal tender.
Naira abuse has to do with handling, rough handling the money, not handling it gently. Some people matching it, some persons throwing it at other people, not minding the manner and the form in which it is thrown, abusing it. Some people even tear it, some people rumple it, some people fold it. But if you can decently package the money in a purse, in a wallet, I think the law permits that. No, we spend so much money to produce the Naira, and what the intention of government is that this money should be able to last for a given duration.
And now, the chairman of the Nigerian Union of Pensioners in River State, Collins Wankwa, has reiterated his call to the state government to address the backlog of pension arrears and gratuities owed to retirees. Speaking during the opening ceremony of Pensioners Building in Port Harcourt, Mr. Wankwa urged Governor Siminalayi Fubara to release funds so the pension board can settle these outstanding debts.
It will be highly appreciated, however, if Your Excellency could please do well to increase and release funds for payment of gratuities, initial pension arrears, death benefits, implementation of various circulars on pension increases, and harmonization of pension in the state, as we have always asked for.
Also speaking, the state chairman of the Nigerian Labour Congress NLC has pledged to work with the pensioners union to tackle outstanding pension payment, gratuities, and the demand for increased pension.
One assurance I'll give to you is that these demands, as a state council, we will liaise with your state council, we will collaborate with them, we will engage the current government today to make sure that most of these issues are addressed. Engaging the government on the issue of increasing the monthly pension allocation, gratuity, pension arrears, emolument, in order to give a larger coverage to pensioners.
Nigeria Info.
You're welcome back, and now the rest of the news. The president of Customary Court of Appeal in River State, Justice Ihanacho Buzo, has advised chairmen and members of the Customary Court of the State Judiciary to ensure efficiency and fairness in the discharge of their responsibilities. Justice Obuzo, represented by Justice BNL Demois, spoke at a 2-day workshop for chairmen and members of Customary Court at the Justice Miriodele Judicial Institute in Port Harcourt. He also emphasized the need for training and retraining of judicial officers.
Training and retraining is the hallmark of any efficient and dynamic system of justice delivery the world over. In every organic institution, the only way it can grow is to grow and add up and add up. And that is what we are doing now. This training is to add up to what you have known and better up what you have known to improve you better so that together we have a better system. And I'm sure as we do that, the work of judiciary at this level will be better and will be better for society also.
On her part, the administrator of Justice Miriodele Judicial Institute, retired Justice Anwari Ken Chikere, said the workshop brings more ideas about the profession to the people concerned.
The customary courts exercise summary jurisdiction, unlike the regular constitution. They are created to deal with native law and custom of the areas where they find themselves. The customary courts deal with both civil and criminal matters, but in their dealing, we have to make sure that we adhere to fair behavior. They also have the power to promote reconciliation.
Our correspondent reports that the theme of the workshop is elevating customary court, empowering chairmen and members for efficient and fair dispute resolution. Now, River State Governor Siminalayi Fubara has blamed poor planning and lack of interest as some of the reasons for the dampened business environment in the state. The governor said this through the head of service, George Weke, when he received Decency Thompson, a Rivers youth who walked on foot from Nasarawa State to the government house gate yesterday. The governor assured the youth that his administration is working round the clock to ensure that investors who left the state returned. Earlier, the youth Decency said he decided to walk on foot from Nasarawa State, where he did his youth service, to Port Harcourt to create awareness on the level of unemployment that the youth face after graduation. Our correspondent reports that the governor assured the youth that his administration is working round the clock to ensure that investors who left the state return. Our correspondent reports that Mr. Decency said that he embarked on the journey on 8th April and ended on the 25th of April 2016. And now in business, the federal government says the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority (NCAA) will carry out a comprehensive audit of all local airlines in the country. The Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, said this on Channels Television. He said that beyond the suspension of Dana Airlines and the ongoing audit of the airlines, all other carriers in the country would be audited to guarantee the safety of passengers and the health of the civil aviation industry. And now in entertainment, the toxicology test to determine the cause of death for music star Mohbad has been completed in the United States. Lagos State Counsel Oluwaseun Akinde confirmed this to the coroner's court, noting that the autopsy on Mohbad's external body was finished while the toxicology test focused on internal factors. Mohbad, who passed away at 27 on September 12, 2023, had his death circumstances sparking controversies on social media. And now in sports, Brazil legend Marta says she will retire from international football this year. The 38-year-old striker in Brazil's all-time record is Brazil's all-time record goal scorer in international football, ahead of Neymar.
And now, we bring you news from around the world.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and Chinese President Xi Jinping are meeting in Beijing as part of effort to shore up relations between the two countries. President Xi told Mr. Blinken that China and the U.S. should be partners, not rivals, and avoid engaging in vicious competition. On the spot, Mr. Blinken, who is on his second visit to China in less than a year, said Beijing and Washington have a shared responsibility to move ties forward with active diplomacy. His trip comes a few days after the U.S. passed a law that would force Chinese-owned TikTok to sell the video app or be banned in America.
This is the news on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
That's a wrap on the news this afternoon. Before we go, let's have a look at the major stories. The NNPCL has blamed logistics issues for fuel scarcity. An energy expert has asked the Rivers State government to revisit the gas turbine built by the Peter Odele's administration. The federal government says the NCAA will audit all local airlines. And on the foreign scene, China and the US are holding talks in Beijing aimed at stabilizing relations. The news was edited by Martha Okerinkem. To reach the news team, send an SMS or WhatsApp to 0808 721 7215. I'm Ifechukwu Mwanyeli. Many thanks for listening.